Greetings, I think we're live. Greetings and welcome to this election special. Now, the masses are conditioned to believe that government serves the people who choose them via the ballot box. No, it doesn't. In reality, government is there to provide the illusion they serve the people, but in reality, they don't. Hence, reason mainstream politicians are skillful liars. They are nothing more than lapdogs to the usury scammers. The usury scammers metaphorically say jump and governments say how high. Now, usury was abolished in this country by Edward Longshanks, but reintroduced by Cromwell, paving the way to setting up the Bank of England in 1694, thus plunging the country into a never-ending, non-existent debt. As far back as I can remember, I've never known a time when there hasn't been a financial crisis or something to fear. Now, when a child, I remember watching our flickering black and white television and seeing grim-faced politicians telling everyone about cutbacks, economic restraints, and rising taxes in a budget where we are expected to pay more to get less. And the goodies will always be tomorrow. My uncle used to say that. He said, with politicians, and he said, as when he was a child, and he said, and it's throughout his lifetime, he said, it's always the goodies are tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Now, as a child, I thought everyone was being punished by these grim-faced politicians for something naughty they had done, because it sort of looked like that. Now, then, of course, there is the fear aspect. Now, my grandparents' generation feared naughty Germans during the First World War. My parents' generation also feared naughty Germans during the Second World War. My generation feared naughty Soviets during the Cold War. Now, the younger generation are being conditioned to believe fake statistical science, not real science, in order to make them adhere to a death cult that's designed to make people accept a mutated communist ideology under the guise of human activity affecting the climate. Of course, it's total nonsense. And then you look back to real history, not what we have been spoon-fed to believe. And then you'll realise what we've been told about these wars is basically selective information, selective history. And there's a lot of omissions. Now, victors write the history, hence reason French history books have so many blank pages. Sorry, I had to add that gag in. Sorry, French people, I'm not being rude. Now, in reality, unelected usury scammers and their multinational organisations rule countries. Unelected civil servants run countries, and government is there to give the illusion they rule and run things. They don't. During this so-called election, not one mainstream political party is addressing the real issues. They are simply waffling and not addressing anything. The real agenda is rather like the elephant in the room that everyone is being conditioned not to see. Now, these are the real issues as I see them, and this is what I think it should be. Number one, how do they intend to abolish usury and bring the usury scammers to court? Now, the silence is deafening from all the political parties on this one. 2, stop the rollout of smart meters and 5G. Also stop spraying chemtrails. Now, there's not a word from the Green Party about these real pressing issues, but lots of waffle trying to promote the global warming death cult. Again, it's a diversion. 3, halt Marxist ideological subversion. It's our universities, as I've said many times before, were infiltrated as far back as the 1930s. Some people say even before then. 4, make it law that cash can never be phased out. Cash is human freedom and should be a human right as a method of payment. 5, stop the Colden Hove Kalergi plan. 6. Stop the pharmaceutical mafia milking the NHS and abolish the 1939 Cancer Act. Make the NHS a natural health service and only use pharmaceutical medicines, if you can call them that, if they can be proven to work, which is rare. And allow the production of GC meth and the release of David Noakes and his girlfriend, and that's another subject. 7. Implement a policy of voluntary paid repatriation of non-Europeans. The emphasis is on the word voluntary. A very impressive pensions package, along with training to assist non-Europeans to return to their place of origin, would boost third world countries, as people with know-how would modernize societies that have been deliberately kept poor by the World Bank. 8. Tell the UN with their depopulation agenda 2030 to take a hike. I could say something a little bit rude, but I won't. 9. Tell the World Bank to shove it. I think you can think of better ways of saying that. 10. Make it illegal for any public servant to be a member of a secret organisation such as the Freemasons. Make it a serious offence if a public servant is found to be a member of such an organisation. If a ding-dong wants to join the Masons and carry out creepy rituals with members of the same sex, they would be free to do so, but they couldn't be a public servant. 11. Implement total freedom of speech, whereby people can say anything they want without fear of prosecution. 12. Stop current policy of police being used as revenue collectors. Police are there to maintain common law, which is injury, loss, or harm. Statute law should be out of their jurisdiction. And this is just for starters. I could go on, but if I did, I could probably cure insomnia. Now, if you mention anything from that list I've just mentioned to people canvassing for their political party, they will probably look at you as if you're a tin hat wearing conspiracy theorist, as that is how they've been conditioned to react, but not necessarily think. If you are awake and can see through the hype, what all the mainstream political waffle parties are doing is acting as a diversion whilst the country destroys itself from within due to former Soviet ideological subversion infiltrating the West's university system, as I said earlier, as far back as the 1930s. Now, my granddad used to talk about village idiots who walked around doing stupid things. They were harmless and people gave them tuppence and a piece of bread and sent them on their way. It's my view that village idiots, usually the result of close cousins marrying, have evolved into city idiots. In addition to doing stupid things, they also say stupid things. But because they have been through the university brainwashing system, they are welcomed into power to do an excellent job of destroying the country from within. So let's look at our jolly array of political parties and their city idiots. The Conservative Party. Now, the sort of police state in your face was given the illusion it isn't. It's run by recycled upper-class city idiots who went through a subverted university system to give us a smooth, palatable drift towards a Marxist police state. The Labour Party, or Communist Classic as I prefer to know it, is traditional Marxism with the full-on experience of the Fabian agenda. The Lib Dems, old-fashioned communism blended with communitarianism to give a new UN Agenda 2030 mass genocide experience without anyone realising it. UKIP, paid opposition, allegedly from the Soviet EU. Let's face it, the EU can afford the best PR that our taxes can afford. Now, approach UKIP with real facts, such as document number FCO/1048, proving without doubt Edward Heath committed treason and illegally took the UK into what was then the common market, and UKIP won't want to know. There's a pile of other provable facts that would get them into power overnight, but again, they don't want to know. The Brexit Party, in my opinion, another paid opposition designed to split the vote and cause confusion in order to get people into a state of mind whereby they will accept slowly drifting back into the Soviet EU without a whimper. The Green Party, where in my opinion it's mandatory to be ugly in order to be a member. If you are not ugly, it's possible to make yourself ugly, as Caroline Lucas appears to have done, by giving the appearance that her hair was sheared by a very short-sighted New Zealand sheep shearer who mistook her head as a sheep. They also wear mismatched clothes that look as if they've been rejected by a charity shop. The Green Party can be summed up as a sort of totalitarian, natural and New Age mix with a sort of communist medieval feudalism to enable the individual to have a spiritual experience whilst en route to the slave labour camp. I also think the Green Party is for people that use recycled wholemeal toilet paper, want to live in a commune while sharing their living space with the unwashed and farm animals, whilst eating the type of food that you get a refund if you find it enjoyable. Then there's the so-called alt-right parties that, again, in my view, are controlled opposition, as none of them mention anything about usury. If they did, there's every possibility their party leader would end up in a wooden overcoat. So there you have it. Now, the last time I voted was to come out of the Soviet EU in 2016. It hasn't happened, and I don't think it will happen because, as I said earlier, governments don't run countries. I also believe votes are rigged. I therefore don't vote. It's a waste of time, and as in my view, as I said earlier, they are usury scammer and multinational industry glove. Sorry, the politicians are usury scammer and multinational industry glove puppets. So what are we to do about the situation that's lawful and peaceful under common law? Well, that's for another programme. Now, if you do feel the urge to vote, why not vote for my new political party? It's the Procrastination and Disorganised Party. It won't do much. In fact, it would do sod all, but at least it would be honest and probably do more than all the other mainstream political parties put together. I'm joking. Thanks for watching. Please share and subscribe. This evening at 7 o'clock, I will be speaking to Caroline Stevens, and our regular slot, my regular slot with Ben, is sort of put off this week, but he, all being well, he should be back next week. I think he's covering the UK election. Well, it's a cock up anyway, whichever way you look at it. And as I say, thank you very much, and be seeing you hopefully tonight at 7 o'clock.